Greetings, it's Tales from the Jails. John G. Sutton. That's me, by the way. And thanks for all your kind comments, and some not so kind, Larry. But anyway, thanks for that. I like to see people interacting with this site, it's good. And hey, like and subscribe and all the rest of it, because we're getting near to 5,000 subscribers now. And once we hit 5,000 subscribers, then I'm going to do a special Q&A session for an hour, probably on a Tuesday, the first Tuesday after the 5,000. How about that? Today I'm going to talk about PTSD and prison officers. Because people do suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder from the traumatic experiences that they've endured whilst in the prison service. I know it might sound mad seeing as I do a Tales from the Jails podcast here on YouTube, but sorry about that. Yeah, but I too suffer from PTSD. I don't like terrors, but I have nightmares. And my nightmare's a recurring nightmare in which I find myself on the landings at Strangeways. There's nobody else there. I can't see anybody else. All the cells are locked. I don't see any other officers or any prisoners, but I'm walking round the landings. Constantly walking round the landings in the main prison. And I haven't got any keys. I can't get out. Walking down up and down the stairs. I tell you, the problem is, this is obviously some kind of trauma I've endured. Because I wake up, probably about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and I've got this horrible nightmare in my head. And I think, it's only a dream, don't worry about it, John. Go back to sleep, yeah, go back to sleep. There I am, walking down B-Wing, yeah, back on the floors, looking down at the rotunda, yeah, up at the... It's terrible. You can't stop it, it won't go away, yeah. And another ex-officer that suffers from post-traumatic stress disorder is Neil Samworth, I believe. Yeah, anybody who watches Tales from the Jails would quite likely watch Neil Samworth's channel. It's called Real Porridge. If you don't watch it, I highly recommend it. I believe that Neil Samworth suffers from PTSD. And there's very little wonder that you would. There's some really traumatic experiences that you endure in prisons. Things like going to dead bodies, and I went to one death. This guy, he was epileptic, and I didn't do it. I obviously didn't do it. I took over the clinic on I-Wing. That's in the old postal allocation unit at Strangeways, and I took over the clinic. I was a hospital officer at the time, and I checked everybody. They were all okay, but they put this guy into his cell with his lunch, and he was epileptic, this fella, and nobody said anything to me, I checked about half an hour later, and he was on the floor. He choked on his meal. I don't know how we could have prevented that other than feeding him. It was distressing anyway. We did our best to resuscitate the guy. Absolutely did everything I could. And there was no way to resuscitate him, and the doctor came and declared him dead. And that was that. But you're dealing with dead bodies, people who have hung themselves, people who have lacerated themselves. And it sticks in your mind, It's a stuff of nightmares, and I'm not. I don't believe I am a psychopath. So it has an emotional effect upon you. You do feel somewhat empathetic with the inmates who have injured themselves and tried to hang themselves. And I have cut 1 or 2 down that have tried to hang themselves and not quite done it. You just start to choke and panic, and then fight against it. And the cellmates have woken up, raise the alarm, and you get in there and get them down and resuscitate them. But it plays on your mind. It really does. had a little break there, didn't we? Because I accidentally tapped the microphone. Yeah, one of the things I saw at the Scrubs, one guy had slashed all his wrists and he'd bled through the mattress onto the inmate that was sleeping below. The guy was sleeping, it was quite warm, it was summertime, he was on the bed naked, laid on the bed naked, and the guy above him had slit his wrists and all the blood dripped through the mattress onto the guy below. When he banged on the cell door, I went in. The floor was covered in blood. This guy was covered in blood. It was dripping off him. Strands of gore. Yeah, the guy on the bed who'd cut his wrist wasn't actually dead. He was virtually dead, but he wasn't actually completely dead. We got the hospital staff in to come and take him away. And they said they thought they could resuscitate him and get him to Hammersmith Hospital and put him on... get him some blood in, because he'd lost probably about 6 or 7 pints of blood. There's about 8 or 9 pints of blood in your body, So he was virtually down. He was virtually running on empty, shall we say. But that was traumatic for me. I still can see that in my mind's eye, The guy who was on the thread, dripping in somebody else's blood. I said to him, "Are you sure you're all right?" He said, "You know what he said? He said, well, before I rang the bell," he said, I robbed all his baccy, meaning he'd stolen all his tobacco. Somewhat pragmatic approach to this. I said to him, "From now on, you will be officially known as the Screaming Skull." Seriously. Yeah. He was quite an old guy in his late 50s, covered in blood, thin as a lat. But I can still see that. So, yeah, 1 or 2 really, truly horrible things I have seen. One guy, I tell the story in my book, which I highly recommend, by the way, HMP Manchester Prison Officer. This inmate ran at me and tried to headbutt me. He got within about that space, and he was moving at some speed, running, to stick his head on me, and I just caught it in time and flipped it and hit him with it right there. So you get it right, flipped him over and skid him back along the floor till he hit the cell wall and stopped. Flat out. I can still see that. There's no wonder I suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder. I knew one prison officer, at Strange Ways. He went into the office one morning. The principal officer said something to him. I don't know what it's something about. Why didn't you find this radio or something? And he threw his hat, took his hat off, threw his hat, pulled his jacket over his head, threw himself on the floor, went under the desk screaming. He was just banging on the desk up, yeah, like that, screaming. They took him away. He was in Prestwich Psychiatric Unit for a couple of weeks, medically discharged from the prison service. I tell you, he'll have that horror living with him forevermore. See, the Home Office don't realise what they're doing when they're putting young girls in there. They're vulnerable. I believe the Home Office are negligent in that. I seriously do. They should not have young women in there, because it is traumatic for blokes. I mean, I've been around a bit, I've been in the middle of the Sahara Desert, shot at by Colonel Gaddafi's Revolutionary Army. Been training with the SAS and all that. So I've been around, but I still found it quite traumatic. I'm sure it's the same today. They put 18-year-old girls in there. No wonder they end up being locked up. Anyway, that's a disgrace as well. I'm going to sing you a song now. It was commented on by the lady who frequently comments here, Paula, who said that the other songs I sang was I love a lassie, a bonny island lassie, and all that. Said it's very sexist, it's considered in Scotland to be somewhat misogynistic. Well, if you think that was misogynistic, you're going to love this one, because I mean, I find this quite an incredible to think that this was an acceptable song in its day, and that people found it amusing and went to the theatres to watch it in vaudeville, performed by a man who was a knight of the realm, Sir Harry Lauder, and he sang this. I'm going to do my best to interpret it, but I'm obviously not Harry Lauder, you know. But it goes like this. It's called, believe it or not, Stop Your Tickling Jock. Are you ready? Oh, I'm caught in a farmer's daughter. She's one of the nicest ever seen. Her cheeks, they are a rosy red, and she's just sweet 17. When I throw my arms around her neck and try to steal a kiss, oh, she'll wriggle and giggle and twist and twiggle, and then you'll hear this. Will you stop your tickling jock? Will you stop your tickling jock? Done to make me laugh so hearty, oh, you'll make me choke. Oh, I wish you'd stop your nonsense. Just look at all the folk. Will you stop your tickling, tickle-ickle-ickling, stop your tickling jock? Oh, she went to the seaside with me. I thought she'd like to see the sea. Oh, I did enjoy myself that day, I can tell you. So did she. Oh, on the railway train we went through the tunnels dark. Oh, every time I looked at her, the passengers heard her remark, will you stop your tickling jock? Will you stop your tickling jock? Will you stop your tickling, tickle-ickle-ickling, stop your tickling jock? Oh, I went to the farm one Sunday. She invited me to tea. Her father and her mother sent to the kirk, which was right for me. What a lovely, lovely food we had. Oh, ham and eggs and beans. Oh, and after that we'd had some treacle roly-poly, just for fun. Will you stop your tickling, tickle-ickle-ickling, stop your tickling jock? Oh, I'm thinking of getting married. Is that you ken there'll be no jam? Because I think she's just the sort of lass to keep the bed warm. I think she's lots of brass, that lass. I've found out soon. If she had, then we'll go founding. Tuppenny tube for the honeymoon. Ah, you stop your tickling jock. Will you stop your tickling jock? Will you stop your tickling, tickling, stop your tickling jock? Imagine that. I mean, is that sexist or what? Misogynistic? But that was entertainment back then. By the way, that song was written in 1904 by Harry Lauder and performed by him. You look it up on YouTube. Type in Harry Lauder, Stop Your Tickling Jock. He obviously finds it amusing. I sincerely hope that you enjoyed that. And you've all got a copy of my book, yes? Oh, good. We'll speak soon. And don't forget, when we hit 5,000 subscribers, we're going to do another Q&A. Bye now.